I don't know whether you're a fan of Rory Stewart and Alastair Campbell's podcast, The Rest is Politics. I'm afraid I am. And in discussing Labour's first 100 days, Rory and Alastair provide a lively critique. Their candid commentary contrasts sharply with Keir Starmer's less than thrilling start, which Stewart frames as a middling effort. Stewart praises Campbell for acknowledging Labour's missteps, particularly regarding the handling of freebies, and for framing the problems with a strategy akin to the sandwich method, acknowledging issues, mitigating them, and then emphasising future possibilities. However, their analysis reflects a larger sentiment among listeners and the public, disappointment and a lingering hope for Labour to right the ship before everything goes too wrong. Stewart and Campbell raised some valid points about Labour's somewhat aimless approach, particularly when they ponder Starmer's reliance on the growth agenda without distinct actionable strategies. Stewart even draws a parallel between Labour's current path and the Tories' austerity model, expressing concern that Starmer might merely become a softer version of Conservative economic policy. This is a fair critique, as Starmer's agendum appears to lack the assertiveness or originality of, say, Blair's globalisation-centric approach or Corbyn's infrastructural spending spree. Campbell adds a fascinating layer by noting Labour's potential clashes with both the left and the right as the party weighs deregulation against traditional Labour ideals like public health and safety. However, Stewart's critique feels sensational, bordering on theatrical, especially when he chides Starmer for still referring to Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, suggesting a certain reluctance to assert authority and to capture the opportunity that he's actually been gifted. Meanwhile, Campbell's admission of Labour's hiccups raises questions about just how reputational capital they can afford to lose in these early days. How much can they afford to fritter away? This tension creates an amusing dissonance as Campbell downplays these issues while Stewart emphasises the stakes, noting that even minor missteps can erode public goodwill, crucial for difficult policy shifts like housing reforms. Both Stewart and Campbell highlight Labour's intention to deregulate as a strategic move towards growth. And Campbell, though, warns that deregulation isn't merely about cutting red tape. It's also about maintaining health, safety, and environmental protections, a nuance that Stewart seems less concerned with. Labour's pursuit of deregulation also echoes Conservative attempts that never quite materialised, suggesting a cynical frustration with British politics. The podcast thus raises the question, is Labour poised to follow through on its promises, or will it be caught in the same web of inaction that often stymied the Conservatives in the last 14 years? In closing, Stewart's dodgy polling on audience expectations of Labour, where worse than expected seems to dominate, adds a final punch, reflecting widespread doubt among British people that Labour has actually got its act together. As the rest of politics reveals in this episode, I mean, it thrives on the tension between the two main characters, Rory and Alastair. It offers an almost satirical view of Labour's early days, which have been less a narrative of sweeping change and more a comedy of errors. Starmer, it seems, might take a cue from Stewart and Campbell's unapologetically bold tone if he hopes to avoid the fate of becoming just another chapter in Britain's recurring political farce that was set in motion really by Campbell's calling a referendum. But I think it was cemented by Theresa May's much earlier hostile environment. Those two key disasters are the problems that we are continually experiencing, and they are the source. The failure of the Home Office because of the obsession with a hostile environment, and the failure of government because of the idiocy with which the Brexit referendum was conducted, and then once the decision was made, the utter absurdity with which Brexit was implemented. So I was going to say we live with these two problems. Actually, we live with the three problems. We live with the problem of the hostile environment, the referendum, and then the implementation of Brexit. Get Brexit done. The additional problems of Starmer's failure, Boris Johnson's Partygate, Liz Truss's inadequacy, Rishi Sunak's well-meaning but fairly inept tenure. These are all consequences of those three disasters.